All right, we'll begin this work session November 24th, 2025. Everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's nice to have a full council table tonight. We got a few more people in the crowd, so thank you for coming. Before we get to the committee reports, I just want to, last meeting we had some bad information given out by Vincent, which was not his fault. So I want to apologize to 2nd Street as a whole for all the citizens who thought their fees had doubled from what we originally told them. We did not, transcribe is the right word, we did not write the correct numbers down after that meeting. I take some accountability not checking back in with Spencer on that. But it was not Vincent's fault. He gave them what he had, which was incorrect. And so I just want to make sure if they're listening or if anybody here is on 2nd Street, that was our fault. I apologize for the blood pressure raise and scaring you that your fees were going to be double. They weren't. They never were going to be. They were correct. They just were not printed correctly. And thank you to Cliff for having the email because it was not where it should have been. So we had some snafus, and I want to apologize on my behalf, council's behalf, and stick up for Vincent a little bit because he just gave what he had. This was before he got here, so I want to apologize about that, and I'm sorry. So other news, before we do committee reports as well, I'd like to just kind of tap into charges. So it's my job to give you guys charges. I would like you, public safety, airport commission, parks and tree, admin and finance, you guys email me what you would like to do. I'll talk it over with Vincent if it costs us money, and then I'll present the charge at the end of the beginning of the new year. So I just need feedback from you. I mean, public safety is kind of straightforward, but airport and public admin and finance, parks and trees, you guys just kind of come up with an idea or a couple ideas of what you want to do. Let me know what those are. I'll kind of look them over, talk them over with Vincent, and then we'll that'll help me make the charges for the next year a little bit clearer. I think I charged one committee with a task that we had already achieved. So that was on me, and I don't want to do that again. So if you guys can just relay to me or Vincent or CC Vincent on that too, so we can get through on the charges and get those done. Since those are around the corner, we got one more meeting, we're done for the year. With that, Parks and Tree Committee, Joan, you're up.
I'm up. I got 5 minutes. Okay.
Or less.
Yeah. So we got together and we used the same agenda because we really couldn't do a lot, talked about a lot of things. We couldn't do a lot until this last one. And so I'll do my best here. I think we voted on 2 resolutions. And one was for the Parks and Trees to create their annual work plan and associated budget and present it to the city council rather than the other way around. Because city council has enough to do.
Yeah.
We could probably
that's
do.
in line with us submitting the charge to you.
Yeah, okay.
Right. And then we talked about drafting a charter that's in accordance with the city ordinance, and we would operate via that charter. Let's see. I think the charter, we had a target for that, and that was next month.
Yes.
And you rolled your eyes when you said that.
Yes.
So you think it'll be, will I be lying if I say that it's next month?
I will do everything I can so you are not a liar.
Okay, it's not about that. Okay, all right. So the vine maples along 2nd Street, they're budgeted for, they're not irrigated at this point, they'll need to be hand watered. The park maps will be updated on the website. I think we talked about they wouldn't necessarily be physical signs, but they would be on the website at this point. We decided that Arbor Day is going to be on Sunday, April 26th, so as not to have so many things going on the Saturday that we normally have it. And so it'll be Sunday, April 26th, 11 to 2. Then we talked about the OGEC training and whether or not we should all get it within 3 months of coming into our position and/or annually. Vincent was talking about trying to set up training for the whole group and get it over with all at once for folks.
OGC, I'm sorry.
I don't know, ask Vincent.
It's the ethics.
The
Oregon
ethics
Government
thing.
Ethics Commission.
Okay.
So they're requiring training now for all public servants, for folks that are working in the public. So rather than having a number of different trainings, we're trying to organize 1 or 2 larger trainings where we could pull in the committee members, the council, staff, and do it that
Can they
way.
legally require us to do this training?
I believe it's a requirement.
I understand it's a
Yeah.
requirement
I
under their eyes,
don't-
but can they legally tell someone you cannot serve in this public office if you do not do this training?
That I don't know.
Because you're elected by your constituents, not by them. So I'm very curious to know that. I take issue with this. I have a lot of reasons for it. I won't go into them, but yeah.
Sure,
So we get this ethics training every year with our attorney.
We do.
And I see no reason to have additional training brought upon us because they want to have control over us now.
I will reach out to our attorney
Okay.
with that question, and I'll also see, as part of that conversation, if if we go through the training with the lawyer, if that negates the requirement as well.
I would also like to know what happens if we don't participate in the training.
Yes.
Were we removed?
I wonder.
I will provide you that information.
Thank you.
So that, and the next thing we
Can I-
talked
wait,
about, okay, go ahead.
Just one more
Sure.
question. Are these gonna be available on, like, another question is, will they be available online for us to do at our own convenience?
That might be an option.
I think
Where
that's-
we can download the videos.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so what we're doing is trying to understand what that training involves. And if it's easier to pull everybody together, and then those that can't, is video online training an option as well.
Sure. Well, those are all good questions that Councilor Holt is raising.
Yep, I agree.
Thank you.
The next thing we spoke about was master plan for Garden Lake Park, pond stormwater, uses for the park, wetland determination. We've talked about this multiple times. Land bridge is possible rather than building a bridge. So $75,000 budget amendment. Did we propose that yet, or are we going to?
That's
propose
happening
it?
tonight.
So I let it out of the bag, didn't I?
You kind of did, it was gonna be the big.
Jim, you're good, go on.
Talk about stealing Jim's thunder.
You can go to Las Vegas now. So the next thing we talked about was Bike Day. June 6th, which is a Saturday, we decided would be Bike Day, and then we were gonna talk about the things that we could do to enhance that experience, all the different things. So I'm sure that will be discussed at some point.
Question?
Yeah.
Will Bike Day be like a celebration? Will it be, are we just calling it that? It's like,
I think it's a celebration type of thing. People go down to the bike park and maybe some bike shops might be there to,
is that day set, is June 6th set in stone?
well, we voted it in.
Okay.
but-
The only reason I ask is because, was there any consideration to graduation weekends
No, there
given?
was not, because I don't think we even thought about that.
Yeah, so that's the only
Yeah.
reason I brought it up. So it might be something that you want to take back and
Okay.
discuss, because a lot of families are dealing with graduations those first couple weekends of June.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, all right. So we'll revisit that. The border in Garden Lake Park has been tabled. There's no cost estimate yet. But we are going to go forward with picnic table, because that's something I think we can handle. The next thing was, most everything is paused as far as Garden Lake Park. The golf course, the bat signage, the picnic table's not paused. I'm looking at my notes. Park updates, we had a few updates, and we're deciding to develop some park rules, some basic park rules, and post them like most parks have. Cobalt, 30 by 30 basketball court.
That's been increased to 50 by 47.
Getting bigger.
Wow, because the kids are bigger?
It'll
My kids are
give,
coming up, so yeah.
yeah, we're hoping it'll give kids of different age the ability to play at the
Yeah.
same time.
Right, or even adults can go down there.
Yep.
We're shooting for the younger kids who don't have nowhere to play.
Yeah.
That are
and
8 foot and
other than
under.
the street.
Well, and 8 foot and under. Kids that don't hit, everybody under middle school is 8 foot. Everybody, when you get to middle school, it goes to 10 foot.
Oh,
So
okay.
there- I coach second grade, there's a lot of other teams out there and kids in this town that can't play, and then the complaint is the portable hoops are in the driveway, so we're gonna fix that, and we're gonna put a little mini full court hoop for 8 foot, and so let the kids can play there.
Where's that gonna be at?
Nice.
At the clubhouse, the Cobalt.
Is that gonna be in the back side of it, or?
Probably just north
Yeah,
of the
north.
parking lot
Okay.
is where we're thinking.
And the Robinette Hughes Park, restroom utilities are in process. And that's about it.
You guys did a lot.
We did, we always do.
Yeah. You're lucky I put you in that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the next meeting is on 12/10 at 09:30. And I think they're going to decide, we didn't decide whether or not, as the city council representative, whether I would be a voting member.
No, that needs a broader conversation,
Okay.
I think, maybe a specific work session. So typically, the council liaison on a lot of committees, commissions, is not a voting member. On the Parks Commission, and I don't know if, Alonzo, if you're a voting member on the Airport Commission.
Yes, I'm
That-
actually.
So that's just something that's not typically done. It doesn't mean it can't happen. Just wanted to bring it back because that would affect quorum
Yeah.
if that's switched.
We should codify too, if certain committees are and then other ones aren't in our
Yeah.
We
own
need to
charter
make it
here. We need to make it
consistent.
consistent and
Yeah.
codify that.
Because one of the things it may imply that if the Parks Commission or the Trees and Parks recommend something to the council, and one of the council members has already approved it, it may cause a, I don't know, potential conflict of interest. That's why it's usually not a voting member.
Yeah.
It's usually liaison, just to keep the communication open.
Yeah.
Because by the time it gets here, one member has basically already voted.
Yeah. But you still need 6 more, so
Correct.
I really don't think it's
Yep.
that big a deal in my opinion, but whatever's standard issue works for me.
Well, and as long as we're consistent and
Yeah.
the council is behind that, it was more of a housekeeping.
Okay.
Let's check in with this, see if the council is still comfortable with that. If you are,
Should we
then.
take a head nod real quick and just see it?
Yeah,
Just finish
'cause
it?
if that's-
Counselor Kent?
I have to think about it a little
Okay,
more, sorry.
we'll come back. I mean,
Thank you.
nobody's ready to give a head nod?
For what? What?
I need to know more. Like, I can't just
Okay.
make that yes or no determination
Okay.
based off the little bit I've heard.
I don't know, is it
Yeah, so-
whether we're voting?
It's allowing you to vote from your
Gotcha.
committee. It'd be one counselor vote, so,
Yeah.
okay?
I never considered what you implicated just now as far as like that one vote already known, basically, right? They've already, that one council members, I've never really considered that, so I have to think on it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, isn't there there's a difference between an actual committee member, say like a commission, airport commission, versus a liaison. And other than voting for minutes on the commission, that's about all we vote for. Everything else is brought as a recommendation for the council to vote on. I think the planning commission, they actually vote on things.
Well, even the advisory folks will vote to approve something or move it to the council. As advisory, you do that, so with.
Yes,
so
and
with
every-
the-
and
That's all
yes.
they're, that's all they're
Yeah.
Yes.
voting on, is to see if it
Bring it
goes
to
to
council.
council.
Correct.
Yes.
'Cause when I was on that committee too, they told me that I had to vote, because at first I wasn't sure. And then they said, yeah, you have a vote
Yeah.
here. And so that's why I was kind of surprised that you didn't have a vote, because that's all that is, okay, well, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go with this to take it to city
Well, I
council.
voted.
Yeah, we're keeping everything the
Yeah.
way it is
Yeah.
until the question of, one, does the council still want to move forward that way? Then let's make it consistent. If not, then it would be a non-voting member. Still part of it, but not voting. Because, like with the Garden Lake, they're going to probably recommend approval that we move forward with the master plan. Could be up to $100,000 worth of expenditure. So I think it depends on what the committee is bringing forward. And the parks will also start approving a work plan and CIP and projects that have a cost to it. That affects the budget, so.
And then that comes to the council to vote on?
Correct.
Right,
Okay.
But one of the counselors has already voted yes to approve it and bring it to the council.
And then
That's
the
So it's kind of
vote was
already a
again.
yes.
That's,
vote, yeah.
that's,
Well,
that's what I'm getting at. And the question is that a conflict? Does the council think it's a conflict? If not, then the
That was-
question.
that was the question.
So you guys actually took an official vote for this, where you said?
Well, we agreed. Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah,
voted to
yeah.
agree on what we
This is
were.
very similar to what we do with the water rate committee, and all three of us vote on that.
Yeah.
And,
As a recommendation to bring forward to the council?
well, we vote, we come up with the recommendation, you're correct.
Yeah.
And then we vote on, first of all, we vote on the recommendation we're coming up with. And then we vote again, right? Or no, we just take that and bring it to council.
Just kind of a consensus, or
Yeah.
if everyone is agreed to, are we ready to bring it to the council?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know about an official vote. I mean, is that,
Well, it's
Some-
not, they're voting it in at that point.
I mean, the
They're just
consensus
voting to
technically
say
is a
It's
vote,
coming to,
right.
and I mean, it still could be, like here, I mean, one person can agree on it, but everybody else doesn't.
Yeah.
So it's still.
Some of them
voting.
go into resolution, so the question, again, is if the council is comfortable with it, then let's make it consistent and everybody knows. If not, then that's where the conversation is. I'm bringing it up because I've very rarely have come across a council member being a voting, even on an advisory.
It's interesting. Yeah, I'd be curious to know what the structure is of other cities. Yeah.
Now,
Well,
oh, go ahead.
you could probably just look to see what our charter says, and based on what the planning, the commissions and boards say, what does it say there? Because I believe that it's all just kind of an advisory to bring forward to the council, because ultimately the council has the final say.
Yep, understood.
So a quick question, if she was to vote, or not to vote, would the council that would be voting that to bring it to us, would that be a 4-4?
Well,
Or would it be 5?
That's where it would be at the advisory committee. That's where the question came up, because then that might affect quorum and the votes, and then you would need to add another member, so it wouldn't get a tie, so it would avoid the tie.
Right.
That's one of the reasons it's coming up, that if it's moved away from that, it could dramatically change a lot of the committee structure.
Which would be more
So-
people, would have to be in more committees.
Yeah,
More
so-
time.
so-
That's
We're
probably
already
not a
down.
good-
So-
It's not a good thing.
Ripple effect. So
Yeah,
if
we have
the
a hard
council's
enough time
comfortable
filling
with it,
committees.
and it's consistent across, then.
I'd like to make it consistent,
Then the
but
question
less
goes away.
committees for each counselor, because it's hard enough to keep up. So,
I think we all do it the same way. I think it's consistent right now.
Okay. Then the question goes away. It was just bring that to the council just to.
I'm glad we're talking about it. We need to
Just
make
to
sure that
check
we're all on
that
the same page. Yep, okay. Okay, are we good? Done with the report? Feel good about it? Excellent. Thank you very much. Very good in-depth report. Now we'll go to the discussion items and the budget amendment for the second quarter. Finance Director Jim Piper.
Thank you, Mayor, City Councilors. I'm going to get this in within 9 minutes, so bear with me.
Prove it.
All right, I'm sure you all read your packet. What we're asking the council to do is consider some budget amendments that are going to come up. These budget amendments will require some public notice and a public hearing. And what we want to hear from you tonight is, what do you think? Do you have any questions about these 4 items that are being proposed to be adjusted in the upcoming supplemental budget? Essentially, there's four items. 3 of them will affect the general fund. One of them was kind of let out of the bag already. The Garden Lake Park Bridge engineering is going to be tabled or put back into contingency to allow the city to hire a consultant to master plan Garden Lake Park. And sounds like we may not even need a bridge after all if some of the master planning comes back and says, hey, we can just fill that in. So that's going to reduce the contingency amount needed for the Garden Lake Park master plan. Staff is also working on a grant for that master plan. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get that grant, at least that's what I'm hearing.
Level of confidence.
Yeah. And then there's a proposal to paint a couple murals downtown. So I'd love to hear feedback from the council on that one. We're estimating it's going to cost about $25,000 to paint 2 murals. Targeting a couple buildings downtown. Of course, we need their permission, at the side of Mazatlan Mexican restaurant, is what I understand, and the red brick building that's across from the Creswell Market would be ideal locations for a couple murals to kind of beautify downtown. And then lastly, unfortunately, the amount for the capital improvement to move the transmission line, to relocate it into the right-of-way came in at about 1.9 million instead of 1.7 million. So there's going to be an ask for a couple $100,000 more. On the plus side, that project is funded by grants, and we have secured grant funding for 75% of the 1.7 million. But now with the increase at 1.9 million, we're going to go back and ask that we get funded for that as well. We don't know if we're going to get the funding for that, but still, grant money is coming in to help with this project. That was how we were able to lower water rates. That was a big deal to have at least 75% of that 1.7 million funded with grant funds. And so that we really need to do the work. We really need to take up this opportunity to utilize those grant funds again to keep the water rates down. So these 4 amendments will be published in the Oregon Department of Revenue's form that they require, the LBSBH local budget, supplemental budget hearing, and we'll have it publicly noticed. But before we do that, I want to make sure the council is in agreement with the budget amendment. I drafted up a resolution. Please forgive me in the first whereas. It's not the general fund and the water fund, it's the general fund and the water capital improvement fund due to unplanned circumstances. And I'll make sure that's corrected for the December City Council meeting. And then attachment A is the actual form and how it looks. In planning and land use, it looks like we're asking for 100,000, but you see that there's 3 moving pieces there. And any one of those pieces can be considered tonight. We'd love to hear some feedback from you. And then lastly, the Water Capital Improvement Reserve Fund. I included a table so you can see those individual changes in a table format, so you can kind of follow along. Are there any questions from the council?
Stacey?
Did you miss me? So,
Yes.
so I have lots of questions about this. Why do we need a master plan for Garden Lake Park?
Go ahead.
So the recommendation comes out of the 2018 Public and Open Space Plan.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to be consistent with that. The issue that we're having is the ponds and the condition of those ponds during the summer. And really the underutilized other area of the park. So in looking at the master plan, there would be several objectives. One, to restore the health of those ponds, and that would either be by digging them deeper and narrowing them, also managing the stormwater more effectively. The water coming into Garden Lake, adjacent property owner is working to fill in those ponds, and that will affect the water coming into Garden Lake. So as an aside, we're also working with that property owner to do a larger, more regional look at the hydrology of that area. It's to.
So what you're saying is he's going to be pushing water into the park?
The water is already coming into the park. The flow is going to change somewhat, so we just need to understand that. And he's going through all of the permitting and all of the things that he needs to do to get that done. It's also to look at Garden Lake as a regional park to attract more folks to Creswell. Right now, it's really because of the condition of the ponds, the way the parking's oriented, really no way to enjoy the natural area of Garden Lake. It's really an underutilized park for us. So.
But I think it's pretty okay the way it is right now. I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time with this. We have a lot of roads that need fixed. Like, if we're able to move money around, why can't we move money around to Second Street and eliminate some of the lid for the Second Street residents? You know, I feel this way. There's no way on earth that I can ever get behind murals being painted for $25,000 when we have so many other needs. So if we're able to move money around, let's move it around in a way that's appropriate. I think focusing on some of these goals, I think, is great, but let's take care of our immediate needs first. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and I hear you and I understand you. I don't think anything is not getting done with the request of what we're asking for. I don't think anything is being put off or anything is at risk of not being funded. This is coming out of some contingency that we have already that we're looking to utilize.
So why can't we utilize it to alleviate some of the burden on our Second Street neighbors?
If there's a measure that is identified for that, absolutely. I think once the project is done on Second Street, all of those burdens will be
Those
addressed.
burdens, but then we have 10th Street, we have the jog, we have the new intersection down by McDonald's. It's a complete S show, frankly, getting in and out of. So I don't know. I have such a hard time with the way that cities and government prioritize things, and this is one of the perfect examples of that. So we know that we're struggling in many areas, and we're going to focus on an underutilized park and a mural. This is just my opinion, and this is what I'm sharing.
I think there's, as Vincent mentioned, there's a second property owner, and just to add a caveat to that, if we work in with conjunction with him and he does get his ponds filled in, that water is already going to the pond, but it will fill into that pond. He gets grant money to develop that property that will benefit the city too. So I think there's a little bit of information being left out. Appreciate and respect your opinion. But if this other property owner comes in with us, which that's the plan, he develops the property more for Creswell to bring more jobs, more stability, more economic growth, and also bring the fish back. Real fish, not carp, not bluegill, not fish you can't eat, and bringing real fish back to that. If we dredge it a little bit, that turns into a bridge, which saves us money too. There's a few, I think this goes deeper than that. I'm with you on the murals for sure, and the roads, the jog. I know Vincent's doing a little work on his own on that and kicking butt, and went to ODOT.
I liked your
and-
plan, by the way.
He went to ODOT and pounded his fist on the desk, and I think he represented Creswell well with that jog. And I agree with you with the S show. Coming into Creswell, we got to do something different. So I don't want to just completely kick the Garden Lake Park to the curb idea, because I think there is more to it that can benefit long-term from it. I just don't think that information quite came out yet. But that second property owner is willing to work with Creswell, fill in those ponds. He gets a grant, that water comes in, ODF and W's happy with him. Now his property can be developed into a lot more for Creswell, bring a lot more to us. He's got a lot of acreage, and there's a lot of possibilities there. So we're trying to yin and yang there, just so that information is out there.
Understood. thank you.
I'll get to, Bill, I'll come back to you after all the counselors do. Anybody else got any? I'm with you on the murals. I think it's a lot. Do you have somebody in mind for the murals? Is that how we come up with 25K?
We looked at, so there, Blaine, I forget his last name, is out of Eugene, and there's a woman, Heather, who just did the Blue Goose down in Cottage Grove.
Okay.
They were estimating that it could be, I mean, we could set it at 5,000 and ask them to do something for 5,000 as
Okay.
well. It's really to work on the initiative that's been longstanding, the beautification of the downtown.
Yep.
So if the council likes the idea of murals, but doesn't want to spend that much, then it's a budget that you feel comfortable with, really, is what we would go back to them with.
The return on investment for the park, can we quantify that yet? Or is it just what we've discussed, the hypotheticals of the second property owner and what he'll be able to do with his grant money, hopefully, that he gets and the roadway, the Mazama roadway through there that will alleviate that light?
Yeah, there's no specific quantification that we can point to with this park at this point. If you Google in economic value or economic return on parks, if you just Google that, you will see a whole litany of how healthy park system, trails feed the economy of a city. Not only for tourism and visits, but attracting businesses and homeowners. I think the last statistic I looked at is when people relocate to a city, 75% of them look at the park system, look at the trail system. Right now, Garden Lake is underutilized, it's underperforming. The condition of it during the summer is pitiful as a park that really Creswell shouldn't have a park like that. No municipality should have a park where it just turns algae and people are afraid to pull the fish out of the water. So totally understand the prioritizing. I think there's different ways that priorities are looked at. Definitely, is this money pulling away from a pending failure, emergency, or another street project?
Moratorium? The moratorium? I mean, I can think of a
Yes.
million ways to spend money right now that
Yes.
might be more important than
Yeah.
fixing a park.
Well, and I'm not disagreeing with you, it's not my role to disagree or to push back that way. What I'm saying is long-range planning, long-range effort pays back the city. And the request that is being made is not, Jim and I were very thoughtful going through contingency. It's not pulling from any priority project, it's not compromising any project. That's the way we looked at it. To your point, yes, all that money could be pooled to decrease some of the costs to another project. And I think that's where the council does the prioritizing. You know, how do you effectively keep current projects going while completing long-range planning?
So what I fear is you're gonna come ask our constituents for more money, more tough fee, let's say, for roads. And, you know, a year ago, we put $125,000 into parks and murals, you know? This is where I have a problem with this, because right now, you're not pulling, it's not affecting other projects that are currently happening. That doesn't mean you're not gonna come ask for more money from us later, and that's what I'm looking at. So, just my 2 cents.
Anybody else?
I'm just in agreement with the murals. I think the money could be better spent. You know, if that's reinvesting into another segment to help the people of Creswell, or, you know, maybe you could pay someone's bills for a month for whatever, or at least a surcharge for everybody that owns a house there.
If the kids come out and paint one.
Well, I mean, I just
See if
think
there's somebody at the high school.
that I just think that the money could be better spent, you know? And I think that anybody what goes to a mural, they're always questioning about how much did that cost, you know? And not that we're not proud of, I mean, I'm proud of Creswell, want to show it off, but at the same time, we gotta still take care of our people that are paying for it.
Today's the day I learned that the cities are paying for these. I thought that the businesses that they lived on were actually paying for them, so I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I definitely agree, $25,000 for 2 murals, and was it 12,000,
Yeah.
2250 for a mural each? I mean.
Is it the idea of the murals, or do you want us to go back and rework the budget? Or is there any
A
expense?
much lower number would be, I think, in my opinion, more appropriate for that. As far as Garden Lake Park goes, I've always felt that Garden Lake Park has tons of potential. But it has all these issues that you mentioned. $100,000 is pretty spendy for, would that go out to bid or something for this?
No, the scope includes significant public engagement, the engineering for stormwater, the engineering for, or the initial engineering for the ponds, to understand what that's going to take, a design for the park itself, looking at the parking, the existing natural area, the park upgrade.
So this is 100,000 just to come up with the plan on how to do it, and then we have to have more funds to make the plan
With
happen.
the itemized cost opinion and projects laid out.
Yep.
Right.
So they're gonna ask us for more
Yeah,
money
but-
later. Yep.
And I would really love to see Garden Lake Park developed, but that is a lot. That is a lot of money for something that sounds like you guys already know what needs to happen. But I guess you get to the nuts and bolts of it, to have the professionals come tell you how to make this happen.
Correct.
Might I interject there? So this master planning document will be essentially akin to a business plan if you're in the for-profit world, right? And so we're paying for a master planning document that we'll take to granting agencies, and we'll probably ask for $1 million. I can't imagine what it would cost to dredge that and move the pilings. And so this could have a bigger payoff in the end. But not doing the master plan doesn't look good to granting agencies.
But we don't get grants here afforded to us very often, right? Because of our median income?
We can go after parks grants without it affecting our median income. I think we just got one, I know that we got one for the Second Street restrooms, and we are starting to get more aggressive in applying for those grants.
So it's gonna cost us $100,000 to be able to apply for a grant. We could or could not get that grant, and then down the road, we're gonna have this business plan and expect to implement that and put our future constituents on the hook for money. That's what I'm hearing. So it's gonna cost $100,000 to put together a plan that's gonna cost Creswellians more money down the road. That's the way I see this. So it's just where I'm at with it.
It is. It's got to, if we don't do the plan, we can't do the grant. We have to spend the 100K. Yeah, you're not wrong, no.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So if you want to table this, we can go back and see if we can refine the scope, bring down the cost. I think there is a planning priority within the city. What cost is up for conversation. Looking at the amount that will be done within this, we may be able to go back and pull out some of the scope, and, I'll work with the consultant on that and bring it, and see if it can be lowered and bring it back.
I mean, do we need community input on fixing the ponds?
So, yes, I think you do.
Okay.
Because it's just not fixing the ponds, because they're going to be reconfigured. So it's hearing from the community, from a recreation standpoint, what would they want these ponds to be? A fishing pier? Do they want the pond to be able to be navigable in a way so they could throw out a canoe on the lake? Because, is there a water recreation capability? So anytime I think that you look at a regional park or even a neighborhood park, you bring in the neighbors to get their input, because they're ultimately the users of it.
But this is just a neighborhood park.
It's really more of a community park right now. We probably could make it into a regional park.
But we don't
So at the-
need to.
You don't need to, but even at the community level, you would want community, I would recommend that you have community input.
Couldn't it be a community doing the work? Actually, I mean, I know a lot of guys that have excavators that could use the tax write-off to help do that. And then the community get involved in cleaning this up, cleaning that park up and stuff, and, I mean,
That's always an option. Yeah.
because there's no way,
That could be an
I mean, you can go do that, correct?
Well,
Without going
right.
against any laws?
We would have to work probably with DEQ on that and other state agencies, because it's,
I'm sure they wouldn't let us do a lot.
yeah.
They wouldn't.
No. We'd be lucky to get a shovel on the ground.
Okay.
If we go out there and just excavate, probably. If we're going out there and looking at wetland mitigation, managing the storm water, improving the ecology of the ponds, that resonates with the state agencies. So I think our latitude would be greater because we're actually enhancing those
Trying to
ponds.
improve it.
Would we end up having to update that road? That's right alongside of it too?
Airport road.
That I don't have an answer for that.
Anybody else? All right, I'm gonna go to Bill real quick.
Okay, so I'm probably the only one in this group that lives on that side of the freeway. And I use that park just about every other day. And I see a lot of people that do. So to write it off as an underused park or a park we don't really care about, I would take issue with that. Second is, I've lived in a lot of cities, and Creswell, I think, was looking to grow. People that want to move into an area, one of the things they look at is schools and parks. Parks is big on that list. If you got kids, you want to have some place that they can play. So to say that it doesn't benefit the entire community by growing Creswell's appeal, I think that's not correct either. So I'd be an advocate, and I gotta say, with Vincent's background, he has more expertise in how to acquire money for parks and grow a park than any of us. I mean, I've gone to the Park and Tree, and we talk about going over, planting a little garden or something, but he's the one that said, well, if you had a master plan of what you were doing, you could go to places for more money to enhance what you're doing, rather than us going out with shovels on Saturday and just digging in some plants. So I think spending the money to get more money, I mean, isn't that kind of what we do at the airport? Second is, I happen to be an artist, and I would kind of agree with you. I wouldn't spend that much money to create some murals. In fact, if anybody's gone by the fire department, the big mural up on the wall, I created that with a bunch of kids. All it takes is paint. And you probably have enough volunteers in town that say, oh yeah, let's do this giant postcard of Mazatlan on the side of the building or something like that. So it could be, I think it's a great idea. I mean, Eugene and Springfield, half the people go around the town looking at the murals. It's a big draw. Paying somebody that much money to create 2 murals, that's where I'd agree with you to kind of say, you know, what about if we bought the paint and got the high school art class involved and said, go at it.
There was a young man, there was a young man a while back, was it Caden Bolanos? Who might be interested in taking on heading up a project like that.
I think he was saying he'd do it for free too.
Yeah.
Yeah, really? Yeah.
Be a good
I
senior.
think we're clear on, since we got 4, if we can corral a couple of these, I think we're clear on the murals. I think we're all for them. we need to get them down to like, maybe we pay for paint and see if we can get a volunteer. I personally got a mural quoted to me on my business, and it was a 12-foot tall Bigfoot with the Ariat logo on his vest and forest, and it was gonna be graffiti resistant, if you can. So it's a coating he puts over, and so if they spray it, I can literally go clean it off. It was only $2,000. And it was, like I said, it was 12 high, I think it was about 12 wide, so it was mainly all about the Bigfoot, and then the trees were behind him in the forest. And there was a bunch of trees, and he did a little river. I thought that was a hell of a good price, sorry for the language. It was a really good price.
Okay, so yes on murals, make it low to no cost.
Yeah, maybe if we pay for materials, like I think, can I get an agreement with everybody here?
Yes.
We're good with
Yeah.
material costs, and then
Okay.
if we get some volunteers, okay, let's get that one out of the way, because we got 4 here to go.
I'm sorry, and
Go ahead.
just to clarify, Mr. Mottrell, the master plan garden lake, that would go out for an RFP? Or,
No, it doesn't need to. It's within my spending authority and procurement rules.
so, okay, well, why wouldn't it go, or, I mean, how would we?
The landowner that we're talking about has worked with a consultant for a couple of years and has a lot of information. If we're looking at a regional approach, it makes sense to bring in that consultant as well. That consultant is a multidiscipline consultant also that has environmental planning. They probably would need to bring in an engineer. So it's the familiarity of it, it's a person that understands the connection of it. That was the logic behind it.
Well, I would be definitely interested in hearing more about it. For the RFP, how much it would really cost, because that's
Master
100,
plan.
yes, yes.
How much would it cost if we
Yes.
didn't look at a regional approach? If we just looked at, updating our park and not focusing on that? I'd like to know that.
That's with the water, and we'll take a look at that, that might be a little bit difficult because of the water that is being fed into the park and the amount of storm water management that we would have to take care of. I think the view outside of the park boundary is necessary at that point, but I will verify that.
And the landowner, I guess I'm not clear on, the landowner that's being part of this project, how much skin in the game does he have?
Well, so the property we're talking about is Bald Knob.
Okay,
And not part of the project from proximity and then us working together, looking at not only Garden Lake, but then also his property as one larger contiguous area. And then looking at the city leading the master plan effort for the 45 acres of property. That's the discussions that we're having now. The skin in the game in Garden Lake is more from that regional piece. But we're not specifically talking about that 100,000 that he's going to contribute anything to at this point. So
They're not even by each other. Like, what does
The-
Bald Knob have to do with Garden Lake?
Mill Creek.
Yeah, it feeds it.
Okay.
And on his property, he's working with the state to fill in his ponds and rechannel that water.
Which they want him to
That-
do.
Which, yes,
They've
which
requested
will
him to do.
affect the flow of Garden Lake, which gives us the opportunity to look at the health. The water flow during the summer will still be low, and that's why we're thinking of the need to deepen them and make them narrow, smaller. Which, if we do that, that provides us more potential land to utilize as park. So, no pun intended, it's the ripple effect of what all of this does. Separately, we're also talking to him, because of this relationship, of leading the master plan effort for that property. To look at it not only as industrial, but does it make sense to do commercial, business? Does it make sense to look at maybe some housing there and have it as a mixed-use development, so there's a greater return on it for him? He's
That makes
willing-
sense.
He's willing to do that, and I included this in my last update to you about potential cost sharing for that larger master plan on that property, that does have an ancillary impact on Garden Lake. The Garden Lake piece is related, but it's also, in a way, a standalone master plan. Does that make sense?
It does to me, but there's a lot of nuance there. and
Yes.
A lot of, this has to happen for this to happen, for that to happen, and like I said, the ripple effect. And hopefully, if we were to dredge the pond, then we would have the spoils to build a land bridge, and there's $25,000 saved just on engineering, so, you know, I'm not saying I'm for it or against it yet. It's a lot, like Stacy had said, that $100,000 for the park, but I'm also believe, being here my whole life, catching bluegill, all that thing, I would never eat a fish yet, and I would like to have a fishing derby there for all the kids in Creswell. You know, Vincent brought up the fishing derby, you know, before, and I think there's other things we can do that a small amount of money here or there for events, and we can recoup some of the investment, I believe, but it is a giant chunk of money for potential for $1 million plus in grants, and I do believe in our staff. They do a very good job. I mean, look at all that Shelley's done for grants. I mean, I wouldn't bet against Creswell on getting some of these grants for sure, but
And I can go back to the consultant if the council would like and see if we can rework the scope.
I think the council, I don't know. How does everybody else feel? Haven't heard from Joan much. Clark?
Yeah, I feel it's a huge gamble. And it sounds like, I mean, if we were able to get those grants and then, you know, the development and everything, that would be great for Creswell, it would be great for people who live here, it would be great for tourism.
Yeah.
So I'm moving closer and closer to that.
Okay.
And I'm thinking it might be worth the risk. But it is a risk, and it just feels weird having to put that much money out for it is all.
I don't disagree. Joan, how do you?
Well, it's just, that's part of doing business is getting
Yeah.
consultants, and they're not cheap. But I think that improving that park, making it a regional park if possible, we would get more business, more tourism, people would move in. I think it should be done.
It has to go in line with our water. We also need Short Mountain to work out. Short Mountain doesn't work out, we can't build anyway. I mean,
Right.
that side could probably build a little bit, but it ain't much. So there is more to this. There's so many facets and prongs to this approach that there's like 18 tridents welded together that have to work to make this happen, for sure. So it is a huge risk. It's 100% a big risk.
And we have other parks that people utilize and
We
use.
do. We do.
How many parks does Creswell have?
Old Park is
6?
a great park.
How many do we have, 6?
I think there is 6, but it's
We're
hard
a
to
town
call,
of 2,000
that a park.
households.
It's hard to call that little dog walk a park.
Oh, true.
There's a couple parks here that I'm like, how do you call that a park?
Yeah, that's true.
So-
But, you know, we're not a big city.
No.
And acting like a big city doesn't serve anyone except our constituents get nailed with more money, more taxes. And so I want to make sure that, you know, we're not putting together this giant master plan that we're gonna stick people for money down the road. I would like to see that $100,000 turn around and go straight to the wastewater initiative so that we can get out of this moratorium faster. That would be my ideal.
Well, wastewater is doing well so far, and we have gotten.
Except that we have to raise it, how much next year again? We had to raise it 15%, I think, this year, right? Like, how much more, like, it's doing well because we're within the confines of what we're taking from our constituents right now, but we're just gonna keep
I
asking them
meant
for
the
more money.
benchmarks to moving forward to getting connected.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I apologize. The benchmarks to moving forward to getting connected is going very well.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten a lot of approvals. We are on the way for sure. Vincent's approach to kind of taking the bull by the horns on that one, and Creswell, you know, investing with the hopeful return of actually making money down the road. I see that end. I think we're hitting that mark. I think it will be a return on investment that we're getting there. And we have gotten a lot of approvals, and it's moved faster up the chain as we've discussed. Creswell, everybody paying us. So there is some options there. If we can, let's move towards the transmission line, and then we'll come back to the Garden Lake Park and see what we want to do. Let's knock another one out.
Oh, sure, just to answer Mr. Motorola's question, I would be in favor of you continuing your conversation
Yes.
about the scope of the work. I would be in favor of that. You can, there's
No harm in talking, right?
Yeah, yes, I think you should continue that conversation.
So why don't we leave it at?
Okay, you want to leave it that out? We'll just
Okay.
because I think that the land bridge and the master plan is you got them separate, but generally technically they're both.
Yep.
They're combined right now, so I think it's a no for land bridge. I think we see what the master plan looks like, because
Yeah,
if we do the master plan, we'll get enough spoils
Yes.
to create a land bridge. And there's 25 grand right there. And that 25 grand is for engineering. So we ain't getting a lot for that, to put some dirt over here and build it up high enough with enough silt that we can walk on it. That's silly. We got dirt movers, like Alan said, in the community that can do that. So we'll table that. You continue your talks and try and rescope it, and then let's move on to that transmission line.
All right, transmission line, again, this is to relocate a transmission line that goes under private property. Years ago, it was coming off the water tower under a property that now is private. We need to get into the right of way. It's in our water master planning document. It was budgeted for 1.7 million. Looks like it's gonna actually be about 1.9 million. And we're gonna go back to our grantors. But in order to get this out to bid, get the project rolling, we need to have a budget amendment for that.
Okay. Questions, concerns with that one? I feel like that one's kind of already on the book, so we kind of just have to, and you just got to really get fancy with that pencil and that grant. Anybody else got anything on? We're all good to move forward with that one? Okay. Okay, I think we're heading on that one. Okay, does that, have we knocked all 4 of those out? Vincent, how do you feel?
I've got 3.
Well, I count 2 as the bridge, right?
Oh, okay.
The bridge and the master plan, counting those as one.
Yep.
And then we got the murals, if we can supply the paints, and see if we can get some free artist work, or if they do real good, maybe I'll hire them to do the Bigfoot.
So for my notes, 200K, yes.
Yes.
Murals, supplies.
Yep.
For a senior project.
Great. And I did reach out to the school district about dedicating, and I think I included that in one of my updates, dedicating a wall downtown that each graduating class can paint.
love that.
Each class has a theme.
Yes.
I love that.
So each class can come out and paint their theme, and
Yeah.
that would stay up for the year. So that's in works, in it, besides the murals.
I love that, that brings the community together, I think it's great, and I'd love to see it downtown, I'd love to see a big fat giant bulldog on the side of the wall.
And then 25 for the engineering is being tabled.
Yeah.
Regardless of,
Yep,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, then I have 4.
that was my complaint during the budget committee anyway, so. Young lady in the back, you have your arm up.
Just as an FYI, the airport mural, there was a nonprofit, Lane Arts Council. I don't know if they're still around, but I had the businesses donate the paint, and they took youth that could possibly be troubled youth during the summer, and they painted that mural. So I got donations, and people donated snacks and things like that.
Awesome.
I think
it
we
was
found the
8
person
weeks.
to lead the effort.
You're volunteering again.
Better take all that back.
I volunteered.
I agree, some of the graffiti I've seen is great, if they could just make it cool for the city, like I'd let them graffiti art, I mean. I
So
think it's good
we'll
work.
follow the path, well follow this path.
Okay,
And bring it back.
I think we're on a
I'll
good
give you
path,
an
I think
update.
we're all on the same page, which is more important, I think we're the balancing improvements with money as best we can, and we need a little bit of both, so it's hard to do right now. Okay.
All right, appreciate
I
it.
feel good, thanks, Jim. Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll move on to the RFP discussion, city attorney. and
Hey, Jim, that was not 9 minutes.
No. I thought we were
That's
done
my
with
fault. It's all right.
that.
I'll
That
take
was
credit.
Chris's fault.
I know it was quiet while I was gone.
Caitlin, to the mic and off the keyboard.
This is weird. Good evening, council and mayor. In your packet went out the draft request for proposals for legal services for our city attorney as well as our municipal judge. And for those, we're looking at with the discussion that was brought before us about our insurance and when was the last time that one was brought before. And so in looking at that, we were able to determine that our judge has been with the city for 41 years, in which his contract ends on August 31st, 2026. moving forward with the RFP, there is a 90-day written notice. And so if we get the approval to move forward with that RFP, there will be a written notice given to the judge, which falls in line with our already proposed timeframe for that RFP. Our city attorney is a contract with a no end date. It's a running with no end date included with a 60-day written notice given to him. We have currently been with the law firm since 2003 with a name change to our current firm. And so we're kind of looking at those.
And do we determine that we've never gone out for bid on these?
The municipal judge, it looks like from what I can tell, unless it was before the 41 years, we haven't since then. With the attorney, the 2003 was the last time the RFP went out. And so that was from RFP with that. And so there was 22 years. I did do a quick calculation on our city attorney just to see what that almost year cost was. And so there was a breakdown for that with a 22-year cost there too, so. Is there any questions, any proposals for the RFPs? Those are drafts, and so that's what we have in place right now, but if there's any suggestions, anything like that. I did look at for our court, we are looking to move from nighttime to daytime, would cut quite a bit of cost for doing so and allow some time for instant follow-up for court versus it being, the next day or anything like that. And so those were one of those. That's kind of big one.
I appreciate your numbers. I like that you put the case cited and how many are in default, how much fines have been assessed, how much we've collected. That's a lot of assessment, not a lot of collection. So I know that the collection costs are expensive as well.
Yeah.
That's a lot of administrative costs in collection alone.
There is, and then with default judgments, that was always a big thing with having the nighttime court. It was always discussed, like you have higher numbers and maybe at one point that was, but since I've been in with the handling court, it doesn't seem to be a big break or make for people showing up, honestly.
Excellent. Anybody else got any questions? No. Is everybody with a head nod? Is everybody good to move forward on the RFP for the judge?
Mm-hmm. I wonder if, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I wonder if moving from the court to the daytime, if maybe us attending and doing evaluations might present a little more of a challenge for us. We will have to take time off to come and do that. So I just wondered if maybe there's another way that we can do the evaluations, if we do that. Well, it sounds like we're going to move today regardless if.
I thought about that, and that was something I thought with the yearly review, and so.
Can we record and watch later?
Something, yeah, that's what I was, maybe
later?
something like that. I don't know.
Well, we got, just like these sessions on YouTube.
I would have to look it up and
Public
see.
records
I
anyway,
know
isn't it?
we're not a record of court, so that part plays into it a little bit. But I would definitely say there's some way of trying to do some more digging into that to see what that would look like for you guys to do reviews. Because I thought about that, I was like, that is one of the cons to that was because it's really easy for you guys to come in and review our judge. But if we move to daytime, I know you guys are working, and so that could be a different story for that. And so
I think we all make more money at work here than we do sitting at the stable, so.
yes.
Perhaps then the admin committee just reevaluates what we need to review. When we review the judge, we're literally, I literally write yes, yes, yes,
Right,
yes.
well, that's what,
Right.
Yeah,
that's,
Unless something happens in court,
It's
you're
the
like,
most
oh, you got some
pointless
more now.
review we do.
maybe it's a conversation for a later time.
Yeah.
But maybe we just kind of redo
If
how we
we-
evaluate.
right,
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe
It's a
actually
good
attending is
process.
not part of the evaluation. Maybe we do it just based on data or.
do it
You can
based on
see
these
numbers,
things. Yeah.
feel the
Feedback,
cost, feel
feedback
the.
from, I don't know.
Yeah.
Feedback from the people that
I
work
think,
with
I think
them.
this right here,
That's, if we changed it around and staff provided you more of a detailed evaluation for each of those, that you could take a look at, and then conduct if you want to bring in the judge or the legal folks, that like we did, and just go through
Sure.
sort of, hey, this is the feedback that we're hearing, because even if you go to one or two meetings, you're not going to get a full year's
Right.
worth of
Exactly.
information. So we can step up how we are evaluating and make make that a little bit more detailed and a little bit refined for you guys, so you get a really good report. And maybe that's a quarterly report, maybe that's twice a year we give you a report. So by the time that you have your evaluation, you've been informed along the way as well. So we can revamp that evaluation process, I think, to coincide with the day court.
Well, I think just reports from you guys,
I like this better.
numbers. Yeah, these
That we have
numbers are
numbers.
good.
It shows
Because
that.
that's what we really deal with anyways, is numbers for all of our constituents.
Which would require
So that would be better.
redoing the policy, evaluation policy for our municipal judge, which would be a good project for you, I guess.
Yay, me, I was told. I don't like when that happens.
Feel free to do it anytime, Council.
Please.
Okay, so, all right, we're all in agreement with moving forward with the RFP for the judge.
Yes.
Okay, so shall we move on to the lawyer?
Yes. So I did some of the brief information on our lawyer one. One highlight I did kind of look at when I was looking at our RFP, and in discussion with doing the yearly review, not seeing the city attorney enough. And so one thing that I noticed is, city attorneys attending council meetings and or a mix of certain meetings. If you know, like you're gonna have questions or if anything arises in that sense, we could bring in have the city attorney come to so many meetings and or a total of the meetings. I did a little bit of math as far as that. And so for the city attorney to show for 12 meetings, so whether that's the city council meetings themselves and or work sessions, just a mix, it would be for a year $6,360, which, that is a cost to the city, but that's also, you guys get to actually see him, interact with him, have that as a tool, so that way there's not this time frame of, we have to follow up with you or we have to reach out to him. There's that direct, fulfillable answer at that point, and or he can go back and say, I have to go follow up with this, I'll reach out to you with that one. So that was just something to look at with the city attorney, and again, it's a draft as well, and if there's any suggestions or anything, we can go forward with those.
I'm glad you put a number on his visits. I don't think Ross has shortchanged us on the visits, but there has been a couple meetings, I would say, that he probably should have been here, that he wasn't.
We've had several meetings, I think, that we could have.
If we go further back with that
Yeah.
even more, but I'd say the last year or so, we've calmed down a little bit, so knock on wood, but.
Right.
I think putting a number on it, and, even the council can agree, we're like, okay, he's coming at least 6 times a year. And then you guys have full access as obviously we need training, and there's gonna be, ordinances or something brought up that where we think maybe it should go to vote to the citizens, and he might say we don't really have to. I mean, he doesn't need to be here that often, but it does depend on the situation that we're trying to deal with at
Depends
the
on the
time.
agenda.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does. So it would be nice to put like, hey, you gotta be here 6 times a year, and we'll pick those 6 times.
Yeah,
up.
and
As
that's
needed.
exactly right. We can help kind of assess the agenda
Yeah.
to see what the topics are and
Like,
see.
like Stacy's on a hot one, we're gonna need you.
Yeah. Well, just like tonight, like what, are we under a legal obligation?
Yeah, it would've
Right,
been-
I mean, those questions just come up through dialogue, so I think having legal presence is good.
Yeah.
How often, maybe we'll write it where it could be up to 12.
Yeah,
Right, so that way,
Yes,
in
yeah.
the RFP, it gives us flexibility.
I like that.
We already know what the greatest impact will be that $7,000. But if we try to filter that down to.
If we get down to 6 and-
six,
yeah.
yep.
that saves us some money around.
So we'll just change the language to up to 12.
And being flexible and creative, again, with the finances, the time, making sure that we were doing it right, doing it effectively, and being efficient with our money, that's where we wanna be, that's the sweet spot, so.
Well, and I don't know if it goes a true trade-off, but we'll be saving some money, staff costs, and with the judicial RFP, we'll pick up a little bit with the legal, so it's a little bit of a wash as well.
There'll be some serious cost savings on the court side of things.
Were you able to kind of quantify, I mean, I don't think that you can, but I brought up the administrative costs quite a few times, and we can't really necessarily put a number on that, but how many hours are you spending on files that aren't getting paid, and collecting on a file that's not getting paid, and a phone call, and, at 15 minutes a day, there's $20, and you call somebody 2 times, there's $1,000, and you call somebody 10 times, there's $200. So the administrative costs in your time, when she could be doing something else, is a factor in there, so I do think there's gonna be some savings in there.
Yep.
And-
Absolutely.
and-
Yeah, because I think the cost that we gave you were just your time at night within.
At night, yeah, that's not the
It's
prep,
not-
that's
when
not the
she's here from
follow-up, that's
From here
not.
from 7:30 to 5.
Not heating the building at
And-
night,
yep.
turning the lights back
Yeah.
on.
Right, yeah,
There's
it's
a
not-
lot of things to
Yeah.
Council
consider.
utility costs,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's
So
a
I-
lot going into it.
My hope is that there'll just be a trade-off of spending. We'll save it with the judge, we'll pick up a little cost with the legal.
Okay.
And Caitlin can always volunteer her time during the day.
She's good at it, she already does it anyway.
That's what that is.
Okay, so, council, everybody with a head nod, we all good to move forward with the RFP for the lawyer? Yeah.
Any
Very happy with
suggestions
this
or
choice.
anything?
Yes.
Well, and we want to thank you, because you brought,
Yeah.
I mean, we are going through all of our RFPs based on that question you had about the insurance.
Yeah.
So it really made us look, okay, what other services have we had, or do we currently have, that have been long-term and need to be looked at?
I mean, it's very easy to get, kind of in that trap of just auto-renew,
Yes.
in your personal life too. I'm
You don't
not,
want-
this isn't any
nobody likes
reflection on the city
change.
of Creswell.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
but it's true, it
Yeah.
just becomes easy and comfortable and.
And what you don't realize is over time, it might be costing you a lot of money.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
Go ahead, sir.
the contracts, I mean, they're up for renewal every year. It's not like they're just on, automatic.
Well, I didn't even know that.
Yes, it's every year. So every year, that's why we do the
Right,
evaluation.
right.
That's why we do the evaluation. And only until recently, we made a change. So, the city attorney and municipal judge, we can certainly do this. I have no problem with it, but I think we have some very good people that have a long-standing relationship and a lot of trust here with the city of Creswell. So to have somebody year after year with great evaluations and say, we're changing gear, we're shifting gears here, those RFPs better come in pretty dang good to even consider that. But if this is what we're going to do,
Right. And they're more than welcome to, it's open to them as well. So if they're, wanting to put in for the RFPs, I mean, that they're more than welcome to if they want to.
One of the
and if they
things,
don't,
Yeah, that ends the contract.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so there's the two different, the clauses. The judge's one ends on, what day was that, sorry? August 31st, 2026, so that's the end of his contract. And so that one, it's, as long as there's the 90-day notice, if it's before that, which it actually lines up with the current one that we have in place for the time frame for the RFPs. The city attorney was a 60-day, and so that's within the same time frame. So there's that, I mean, we're covered on that if they don't apply, and if they don't submit anything, then it's the end of that.
they're choosing not to.
Yeah, they're choosing not to at that
to do
point.
the job.
so then the council would, we decide, we vote on whether to send them this letter?
No,
I mean, how does that work?
we're deciding on rescinding a request for quote for the job position, and they can reapply if they want to. If not, somebody else is gonna apply, and then we will pick the replacement.
So the judge's contract's up in August. So we're utilizing that date, exercising the 90-day, hey, this is what we're thinking. We're gonna go out for an RFP. You're more than welcome. You provided us great, judicial services. It has nothing to do with necessarily quality. It's, are we being fiscally responsible as to, is this the best fees, is this the best cost that we can get? That's both that and for the legal fees. Are the legal fees that we've incurred annually, is that 41,000 and change, is that on the low end? Is that on the high end? We're not in a position to be able to provide you that information. So, with the conversation about being fiduciary responsible, this is part of it. Looking how are we spending our money? Not so much we have an issue with the legal service. It's been 20 years since we've asked the question of what other fees are out there. And we'll let them know and say, please submit an RFP. This has nothing to do with the representation we're getting now. We want to make sure that we're getting the best fee out there.
Making sure Creswell's got the best of the best that we can get, and we're just challenging them. If they're that good, then reapply, and it'll be on paper pretty easy.
I don't think that it's gonna, like, I like your point about how we're pretty tied together, so they have an upside to, we already know how they work and, how, having built relationships. That might be the one that costs, somebody might be paying $24 an hour, that ain't happening. But, he might be charging 26, now you just have to wait out to see if he's.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
kind of thinking, not concerned, but,
There's value
where
there.
the relationship and trust that we have with these employees goes a long ways.
Sure. And that, how familiar are you with Creswell? What has been your legal representation within the city of Creswell? All that can be criteria we built into the review criteria. So a portion of it will be cost. A portion of it will be legal expertise. A portion of it will be familiarity with Creswell. So their RFPs will be scored based on a number of criteria. So cost itself won't necessarily be because you're $2 cheaper, we're gonna go with you. You guys will be able to, we'll do
Totality of the application.
yeah, we'll do the
Aggregate of
screening, ranking, and then we'll have a work session or executive session, whatever seems appropriate, and we'll go over all of that information with you guys.
Will we be ranking them and scoring them ourselves?
If that's what that's certainly a possibility. Staff can do it, we both can do it, we sit around the table, you guys are the ultimate deciders. I think it would be good to have staff's input as well, but ultimately, and that's why we wanted to give you the RFP, because some of that's spelled out in the RFP. So that's where your feedback for us would be the most valuable. How do you see that selection process going?
One of the things that I know, like the city attorney is supposed to keep us apprised of things going on in Salem. Personally, I don't think that that's been happening, and not since I've been on council. And so I would love to have questions like that, like what kind of services they provide in that regard, like maybe what is an appropriate amount of communication, like do they update us once a month, do they, things like that, because that's something that I think is very important, that we have somebody that is keeping tabs on how what's happening in Salem affects us.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So if you guys would, if you have, please go back. If you haven't, please do that selection process, because it kind of spells out what you're asking, and see if you're comfortable with that. Again, it was our draft to get feedback, and then let us know what you want. I think we look at the ranking, and then you guys do the interviews.
Okay.
So we kind of do that ranking and that dirty work for you, rank them all. You'll see them all. We'll just put them in the top 3 or 4 and give you the reasons why. But
Pretty similar to how you got here. I mean, same kind of stuff.
Exactly.
yeah.
Cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
So,
So
Okay, so is everybody good to move forward with RFP for the city attorney?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah, I'm good with it as is.
okay. Perfect. Thanks, Caitlin. Good work. All right, the heavy lifting's over. The fun stuff. So the Historical Museum parking, Thomas Carroll. Sir, you're up.
Hi.
Yes, sir, please do.
Somebody was waiting.
No, actually, I must say, I find this it's my first council meeting in a long, long time. If I was involved for some reason way back when, but quite fascinating. Very, very fascinating. You guys are involved in a lot of stuff going on. I'm gonna give you one more.
Okay.
Just briefly, Thomas Carroll, I've lived just outside the city limits since 1985, volunteered on the fire department for a number of years, volunteer coach. And now I find myself as a volunteer at the museum for the last couple of years. And I'm a contractor by trade, so they really needed somebody there. That's how we're getting this roof done. Thank you all for your very generous donation. towards the roof on the building. Thank you for that. So why I'm here is because of the parking issue. I'm gonna go over my notes here, but generally, I'll make this as brief as possible. I know you guys are trying to get out of here, but I know from what folks have told me 3 or 4 years ago, the museum gave property to the city to widen it, or to put parking in right there. My understanding is that they believe that that was gonna be for museum parking. That did not happen. I don't know why. I'm not a part of that part of this at all, but they believed at that time that that was gonna be for museum parking. The end goal is just simply that we have 3 spaces right there in front of the museum, and it is just simply open to the public parking. We see that there's 1 or 2 vehicles that are like, they're there all the time. It's the same one. We know who it is. He lives in the apartments. I'm not gonna pick on anybody in particular, but generally speaking, we know that that's what's going on. So, and as, I guess, just a couple things. One is, we do have times when there's assisted living groups that come in on a bus, one of the smaller buses. We'd like for them to be able to park right there. And there's been times when they have to park over in the Presbyterian church lot, and then they walk the people across Oregon Avenue to get over there. So there's a little bit of a safety concern for us there with that kind of stuff, and just inconvenience, honestly. The last point I would make is just simply that, the city uses the museum as your logo. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. So I'm gonna leave you with this very simply. We have suggestions. A round table gets together and we talk about, well, what could we do? What do we ask for? Well, we'd love all 3 spaces, of course, but yeah, that may or may not happen. I think we are in agreement that we don't want to see any signage that says museum parking only, ever. So I think we see that, ideas like museum parking 9 to 5, so it kind of leaves it open at night, as one example. Or another suggestion was 3-hour parking only. That means somebody's not gonna leave their vehicle there sitting all day long, type of a thing. And I think kind of lastly is just, as a bare minimum, we feel very strongly that that front space somehow should be designated as museum parking. We don't want to go as far as saying ADA, handicap space only, because that once again kind of shuts it down for kind of general use for the museum at all. So in essence, I think I've made my point. We have these 3 spaces that look like they should be for the museum. They currently are just open to the public. I kind of go back to the suggestion of museum parking. Not only, but just museum parking. And I think a lot of people will see that and go, oh, well, I could park, oh, it's for the museum. So you could park there, you're not gonna get fined or anything like that. But, I mean, that's up for you guys to discuss. So, in essence, that's my pitch, and I thank you so much for letting me stand here and throw it out.
I got a question for you. On the hours, it's Saturdays from 11 to 2?
11 to 2.
Right?
Is that
There is that.
all year round, or?
Speak my,
No, it's not year-round. Right now, we're closed because we can't afford the utilities, to heat the building and stuff. And because of the weather and people not being able to get close enough to the museum, we close from November 1st until March 1st.
Is there
But
any
we're
time that
open,
it's
we do open for appointments. If somebody calls and wants an appointment, we will open the museum for them.
Okay.
So,
Just on Saturdays?
No, any day they want.
Okay.
We're open. I mean, we do have, like he mentioned, we have assisted living facilities that sometimes wants to come and bring a group. And, they'll come to the museum and then they'll go to the bakery or something like that, make a combination thing. And the one thing that I hope, we are doing our best. We used to not be open every Saturday. We started opening every Saturday to try to encourage people to come to the museum, and it has helped. We are getting more visitors. But when we don't have parking, it kind of takes away from people. I mean, they either have to park across the street, or they try to fight for one of those, the 3. Or even in front of the old swearing house, there's question about the parking there. There's a sign there that says no parking on this side, but I've had people ask me if they can actually park there. You know about that, Cliff?
I don't know what you're talking about.
On the old Schwerin house, or okay, the house that,
Directly across the
yeah,
street.
on the corner of Fifth, the house right across the street, is the old Schwerin house.
Okay.
And there's some parking spots out in front of it.
There's
but
no
a sign that-
no parking anywhere except for those 3 spaces on Fifth Street. The rest of
No,
the
no,
parking's
no,
on
I'm
Oregon
talking
Avenue.
about the Oregon Avenue side, in front of that house. There's a sign that says no parking on this side of the street.
No, it's no parking for that last space. There's yellow curb there, so that folks can see to get in and out.
Oh,
So that, just
okay.
that one space that's closest to the intersection is closed.
Oh, okay.
The other question is like, so I go past there all the time, and I know what vehicles you're talking about. Maybe not the one that's the parking spot up by the stop, because I was thinking those big buses come in. They're not big, but they're oversized. So, I mean, it would have been the last 2
Okay.
parking spots. I mean, you know what you want.
Well, I think I know what we want, but ultimately, we're really open to suggestions to alleviate this issue that we're having. Certainly, we're not here like demanding anything, obviously, but we're just looking for some consideration and to come up with something that helps us out in some sort of parking way, right? So,
I mean, I like the idea that you said is that, you know, it's museum parking. Not only-
for me, that kind of resonates, I know it does.
I think the
Museum
only thing
parking.
is anytime a city decides to let a private entity sort of own a city parking spot, right? I think the only requirement is that we would have to we'd have to have a public hearing about it. Because as you're talking about potentially converting public land to a private user, like it would be limiting public land use. And I think that it would require us, and I believe that is what, it wasn't ethics, I was wrong. I believe that is where the bakery thing falls. Unfortunately, I only had 21 days to act on that from the time it was filed, so it's too late. So they got lucky. But I believe that Oregon statute requires us to have a public hearing and have an ordinance if we're going to change or limit public use of land. So I'm only bringing that up. I like the idea. I like the idea of designating a parking space for the museum. The museum is part of our tourism.
The Ross question.
But I want to make sure we do it correctly.
Well, and we'll verify again if the changing of parking raises to the level of what you're speaking to.
Okay.
Cliff, got anything?
I have a question on hours. Are you guys open during the week? Is it just weekends, just Saturdays?
Once again, I've never.
It's just Saturdays right now.
So it's just
We-
Saturday?
11 to 2.
Yeah, we haven't got enough volunteers to work and keep the museum open more than that at this time.
But we are
But we're
looking.
working at it.
So, with what Stacy had brought up, what is the next move forward for the council to decide whether it's 2 spot, 1 spot? Sign says this, sign says that.
Well, I would recommend that the council kind of decide on what the sign would say. Would it say museum parking only, Saturdays, the hours that they're open? If that's the case, then I can be very specific with my question to,
That would be my suggestion, is to museum parking only from these times. So that way, when they're open, they're all open. And our new code enforcement officer can go through and be like, hey, museum, this is museum hours, or are these, you walk in there, are these 3 cars museum people? I don't see anybody in here. Okay, we can ticket them. Monica?
Yeah, the only problem is, we're not open, other than Saturdays. But a lot of us go in there and we're constantly working in the museum. We're doing office work, we make displays, we do that. And I hate to say it, but if the parking spots are taken up, then we still have to park across the street and walk across and take our life in our hands. Crossing Oregon Avenue is not that great at that spot. And a lot of us that are volunteering at the museum, a lot of us have health issues and stuff. So it would be nice for us to be able to, be able to park close by.
So perhaps museum parking only Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5,
I'd like to,
you know?
yeah, I'd like to skinny around what you had brought up, if we gotta do a whole public hearing and it's a public land use and we're restricting the use for the public, I don't wanna have to do that. Is there a way that we can get them some parking as best as we can without having to really do a whole public hearing and?
If it were like 3-hour parking
You have to look at
every
our
day
own
of the
charter.
week, would that have to have a public hearing too?
Cliff, do you got any
I mean, anybody.
background on the past of?
I don't think if we change the time, if we put time limits in parking, that separates it from the question that Councilor Holt is bringing up. I think we're well within our ability to put time limits, 2-hour, 3-hour parking. There's spots like that already in town.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an issue, and again, it removes the question that Councilor Holt brought up.
But then if we have to designate, like Monica's asking for literally, a spot for them to be able to park, then that would have to change it, right?
If we had the 3-hour parking, I think that would, because everybody that works there usually works 3
Like Mark said, I take that, my kids 5 days a week. I know what truck you're talking about.
And
Sweet
there-
spot right there.
There's actually 2.
Yeah, it's that first one that I always notice, but, yeah, I'm with you guys, I know which one, and I'd like to help with what we can, and if we can do a 3-hour parking and be done.
That sure seems like it does solve it. It's,
That would help.
we are rarely there more than 3 hours
Well-
ourselves.
Now, if you are, you'll get a ticket.
Yeah.
Isn't that-
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And now I know where to come.
Cliff's got something.
So if we don't change the designation of the parking, so we don't say it's for the apartments, for example, or for the museum, we're not changing the use to private use only, and we only designate time, those are public places that we can designate times.
Just like a
depending on what we
park,
need.
just like park hours.
Just
Okay,
like park
perfect,
hours.
perfect.
So if it's still public property, which is key, and open to the public, we can time those.
Okay,
That's perfect.
go ahead.
Can one of them be made a handicap? Is that an issue?
We'd have to put ADA,
It
right?
may be, because it's not only the parking space,
It's
you might have an
sidewalk.
unloading, loading space, then there's a path to travel.
And buses come right there, and that's gonna be.
It's just
right
not
there.
setting up the ADA space, it's a bigger.
One more question. I think I know the answer to this, but is there any record at all of the conversation that, or you said that the city back in the day said they were gonna do this parking? Does anybody know anything about that? Cliff?
I know how it got to where we're at. There was never any indication that was going to be museum parking. The city actually bought those spaces because we paid for right of way.
Oh, okay.
Because it used to be private property. The city paid for those spaces.
But the city didn't pay the museum for the property. I mean, I don't know of any record of any funds.
From what my recollection is we took, I don't remember how many feet to make those spots because it was private, and the city paid fair market value to the museum for those spaces. That's my memory.
So, can we find that out, the records on that? I'm just really curious about that. I think that would be a good starting point. Just
In our Fifth Street
Improvement.
project file.
Well, and wouldn't the museum have a record of receiving the funds?
I don't know for sure if I was the treasurer at that time. I am the treasurer now. I don't remember seeing or hearing of any funds coming in. I think the city did buy property from the apartment complex, but they didn't from the museum. I remember John Franklin having to sign paper to sign over the property. And that's why we thought there was going to be parking available.
So I think we ought to just clarify that, just get that out of the way versus, he said, she said, what's the record, what's the real deal here? And I'm all for getting those parking for the museum.
Yeah.
but I would really
So
like
let's
some
clear this up and
clarification.
then,
Yeah.
I would propose, though, that if we're going to do like a parking limit, like Cliff suggests, which I think is the smartest way to do it, like a time limit,
Yep.
that we do it on all three spaces.
yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, not just one, do
No,
it on
all three
Yeah.
spaces, 11 to
Yeah.
3-hour parking.
And that brings me to the next question. Rough idea of what it would cost us in signage?
Oh,
Probably not.
$450.
Each sign costs about $300 to install, so that's probably
Okay.
3 signs, so we're looking like.
$1,000. Okay, all right.
Way off.
Yeah, what were you doing?
Back about 5 years ago, apparently. Tariffs took place. Okay, so before we decide on that, or can we decide on that with the caveat of let's make sure the public records are in order?
Yes.
yeah, because I think that solution, it's not predicated on, we'll just find out what the record
Sure,
is.
absolutely, absolutely.
And present it. We'll move forward with putting the signs up.
Okay.
And we'll come back when we have that information.
Yes, that just,
And I'll probably include that in a future update is probably the.
if somewhere back in the day that the city said that they made this deal, then it should be honored.
Yep.
That's all I'm getting at.
If we shook hands on it, yeah, absolutely.
Do we know what date?
Except that when you transfer public use of land to a private entity, it has to go through a public hearing. It has to be done right. The Creswell Bakery deal, that's illegal.
Well, that's a good question for Ross about that.
Oh, I've already poked Ross. Not impressed with that guy.
Okay.
Thank you so
So
much
good
for your
about
time.
it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you so much.
All right, we'll go ahead and adjourn.
I got 2 checks.
Don't say it out loud.
Hey, can you get us, hey Jim, can you get us off the mic?
I guess those are close.
Yeah, fine, guys.
I can start swearing.